Intense TV. I'm your host, Robert Lewis Tyler I. And tonight we have a very special episode of Television Intense TV, talk show live right here in the Napa Valley, Cali. We're going to have on D.G. Spillman, the Godslinger book series author, just moved up here to the Napa Valley. But first I want to tell you that my house, maybe I can drop this graphic, right? They had the front page of the Napa Register the other day. They had another picture of my house up, right? So PG hit it with a sledgehammer on the side, trying to turn off the electrical, dropped it 3.5 feet, and about 5 feet to the right. So it's still messed up. The Victorian, the Bell House, built in 1885 over on Oak Street by Fuller Park. And next in the news, I was going to say, I also wanted to say, they owe me like $500, right, for rent and stuff. And so they're like, we're not paying you. And I'm like, well, they should, but I don't know. So he's like, I got to forgive them, right, for that, because, they'll get theirs. No, just kidding, right? I wish pestilence upon you. No, I'm just kidding. Not really, but no, you got to forgive everybody, right? Even if people like kidnapped my family members and did forgery and perjury, and all this stuff, and because I don't do it for their benefit, I do it for my benefit, right? So basically, I'm out $500 on the first and last, or whatever, first week of September, last week of October on rent. And earthquake victims will probably receive nothing from Napa. The thousands of millions raised are going to go to the wineries and the businesses. And so went and saw Ronnie Hudson and Harvey Scales, the two platinum artists. Harvey Scales' 74th anniversary birthday last night. Happy birthday, Harvey Scales. He came on the show last week. They showed up about 10 minutes till 6, and they were setting up keyboards and all this. And I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, oh, we're setting. No, I go, it's a live show. It's almost over, So we just did with Ronnie Hudson, one platinum artist at a time. But Harvey Scales did have the first album ever to go to platinum, which was Disco Lady. Turn around, Disco Lady. And it went platinum in 1976. So I went to his birthday party last night in Mill Valley. Maybe we could drop that graphic. There it is. Nice. This is, I want to give a shout out to Danny Means on guitar on the left, and then on the drums right there, there's two drummers actually, and then right square front and center, that's Harvey Scales' 74th birthday, 74th birthday. And on the right on bass, that would be Ronnie Hudson, another multi-platinum artist, sold over 7 million right off the bat when he redid it with Tupac, did the California Love. California knows how to. So that's about it, and without further ado, that's the Stax Record Legends of Soul right there, the platinum artist. Speaking of platinum, I just went platinum myself, right? I heard you was going to go platinum as well. Is that right? So I want to introduce. It looks good. So I want to introduce my first guest tonight, D.G. Spillman, right here. Just moved up to the Napa Valley, Cali. So welcome to the show.
Thank you,
David.
Good to be here.
How's it going?
It's good. I want to say that how much fun my wife and I had at your birthday party with Harvey Scales and Ronnie Hudson.
We
had a blast.
It was great having you there.
People don't realize at those parties, somebody starts singing and somebody else joins in, and pretty soon you got a whole a cappella section going.
Right,
there.
yeah. Ronnie Hudson showed up for the party, and Harvey Scales. And then we went to downtown Joe's after that and partied down, had a little VIP room. And B.B. Adele was there, the singer. She sang last night.
Yeah.
And Cherie Taylor was there as well.
Cherie has an amazing voice.
She sang with Ronnie Hudson and Harvey last night
She has
on
an
stage.
amazing voice.
She goes, usually I get $50 for this, but it's your birthday. I'm going to do it for free. It's his 74th. He's a party, and I can't keep up with those old guys.
I know it.
They're up all night. I'm like, let's go. Get in the car. Yeah.
The pros.
Herd them up, and they're
That's
like,
right.
They get off on a tangent. They're like, they got the Miller High Life in the can. Be out there burning down in the park. So
been doing it for years.
Dragon, right? Coming back in. So you have a new book right now that just came out, right? And what is
Right.
your latest?
I have the new
series?
additions. They're the new additions to the first 3 books in the Godslinger series. There's 7
Okay.
in the series. The 4th one will be out next March. But this one that we brought here, Blue Fire Jesus,
Nice.
yeah, this is the 2nd book in the series, and it introduces the 80 families that own about 95% of the world's natural resources.
Is that right?
This is what people don't know. You just mentioned earlier in your monologue about how the hundreds of thousands and up to a couple of $1 million has gone to the wineries and businesses and none to the common man who suffered greatly during this earthquake.
Thousands of millions in the first week was raised.
This is what almost all people don't realize, that in most charities, unless they say 100% of the proceeds are going to this, that it lines the pockets
Oh, yeah.
of corporations and businesses mostly.
Even celebrities will go, oh, I'll do this benefit, but you got to pay my limo, my hotel, like I had to do with Ronnie. You have to pay my limo, my hotel. I'm like, I never spent this much money for an artist to come on the show before, right? And he's like, I'm gonna send you a check next week. And I'm like, yeah, right, Ronnie. You know, thanks, Ronnie. Yeah, the check's in the mail. He said, I'm gonna reimburse you.
In the newspaper too, is interesting that only $120,000 has been paid out by insurance companies for the claims for regular homeowners here who had earthquake insurance.
And what about the wineries?
And yeah, the wineries have already made tons and tons and tons.
Like they didn't have any money to begin with.
So for you folks that are feeling sorry for our Napa Valley industries here, the industries are they're rebuilding rapidly with plenty of money.
Booming.
It's the individual homeowners that you have to worry about.
Right. And even the renter, like me,
That's right.
lost my rent, my deposit,
Yeah,
everything I owned.
Yeah, that's when you
gone,
find
right?
out how great your landlord is, and
I got
or
out
how not great,
I
perhaps.
got out with a T-shirt and
Yeah.
some shorts on.
But you were lucky, actually.
Right, yeah,
You were
all my
lucky
life.
that
I can
that's right, and you're not in jail right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I can recoup, right?
That's right.
So,
You know, the reason I wrote the Godslinger series is that I'm retired now. I'm retired from a couple of different professions. The last profession I worked mostly in Europe, but all over the world, Latin America, and I worked a lot in D.C. as a medical anthropologist. And my job was to help doctors who really couldn't figure out what was wrong with their patients. And I would look at the blood, I'd look at live blood, and I would sit with the doctor, and we would look at the blood, and we would go through the different biological ingredients that we were seeing live, and the effect of the white blood cells and the red blood cells and so forth and so on. And that was what I was being trained to do prior to my previous profession before that, which was working in Asia doing reanalysis of intelligence over there for a private think tank that had all Pentagon contracts, but you know they.
it's kind of like CIA's private.
Well,
isn't
no,
it?
no,
Private?
it didn't work for the CIA.
No, but that's
a
private
different
as
thing.
well, right?
No,
Isn't
no,
that-
CIA is not private.
It's
no.
it's federal.
No, the CIA is federal.
It is.
Just like the FBI and other agencies.
Well, I know the FBI because it has
And
the
there's
F in
pay
it, right?
scales, scales
Always
and
has
grades
F
and
in it somewhere.
clearances. But what happens is that, like a lot of things, like the Blackwater groups and the Blackwater breakup groups, and like Pantheon Security, there's a lot of private organizations that get government contracts, billions and billions of government contracts, that people don't realize who really runs the world and who's got what types of agendas. There would be a one world government right now, and it would have been soon after World War II, if the 80, back then it was about 120 families, but if the 80 families could have just agreed on who was going to be in charge. But they couldn't. They all fight like a little civil war between themselves.
And where's that place they meet at in Europe? They have
Well, they meet at a lot of places, but Bilderberg, the Bilderberg, yeah, but they meet out here at Bohemian Grove as well.
That's right,
Yeah,
and that's
so
not very far from
There are
here,
several places
right?
that
That's
they meet
true.
at, yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty close by here.
But anyway, the beginning of talking about them is in Blue Fire Jesus. It begins to talk about them. And one of the protagonists in there is a French daughter of a billionaire who's been trained as a commando/assassin. And she has an encounter with the Blue Fire Jesus. She's been tasked with getting an artifact that's not from this earth, that has fallen to this earth, that's not from this earth, that has a certain power to it, that's intrinsic, that no one can figure quite out what this thing does. But these families, of course, they have to have it. And so she has been tasked to get it. The problem is it begins to change her as she comes in contact with this thing. And she has to choose between being a traitor to her family and the whole thing that she's been raised in, that they're the elite and they need that they're supposed to rule the world,
right,
to being one of the Godslingers,
right,
and serving an agenda that seems like it's chaotic at times, but it's really the agenda of the light and the right.
right.
And so this begins to go into that.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is a thick book.
They're all
Are
thick.
you going to autograph this later? Or?
Yeah, I'll autograph it to you. You could take that home and read it that night, so you don't have to think about your house.
Yeah, well, the TV got destroyed, and
That's
so
right.
this
The
is
TV
this
got-
is better, right?
that's the reason.
This
Yeah.
is better. You know, TV also. People that have television, you know, the people that don't have TV or don't watch TV are more creative, I believe. You know, because the thing's not creating their imagination for them. Don't you think? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but what's even dumber than TV than watching, I mean, there's bad TV and good TV and middle TV, but
Sure.
you know, you can spend your day playing computer games all day long, and that'll dumb you down worse than bad TV.
Is that right? Yeah.
Well, what happens is that your brain ends up only picking up certain pattern recognition types of things, and it kind of shuts off. There may be in this room right now in the studio, there's not that much going on except for what you and I are doing, because the cameraman's trying to be quiet, and you know,
Right.
the floor director and everybody's trying to just, you know, not make any noise and not make any movements. But there's so much input still going on, including monitors and everything else, that your brain can only take in a fraction of about, right now, even if it's quiet, my brain can only take in, even though it's registering all the input, it can only take in and analyze maybe an eighth.
Right.
So it has to choose what's the most important.
Yeah,
Well,
I know
when
what
you're
you're
playing
saying.
video games all day long, or watching dumb TV,
You're teaching your.
well, what's happening is that
You're training your mind to-
your brain can take in and analyze less and less and less and less, and you just become a 1984 droid that's just kind of whatever they tell you to do. That's what you do.
Right, right.
They say, "Hey, come give blood for free."
Right.
Well, do you know? I hate to say it, but you know,
They give-
I won't
they
get
give
into
you-
that.
they
This
give
will
you-
get into lawsuits.
well,
But the people that collect
They
blood
give you
for free,
cookies, don't they?
yes, they don't.
You get a
they,
couple of cookies.
They don't give it away free themselves.
Right.
They make money and they sell that.
I
blood.
would think so.
Yes. So I've been involved with Red Cross, Red Crescent, because when I was working in intelligence before that, you have to do stuff in college and do certain types of things with multinational nonprofit corporations.
Right.
And you begin to see that everybody still runs on the almighty buck.
I would think so. Yeah, yeah. I'm starting
And
to get that.
all the free stuff isn't free.
Right. I'm starting to get that.
Yeah.
That opinion myself. Right. I'm starting to believe that. Yeah. So.
If you see a headline that says that we're giving away free rice or free wheat to any country, doesn't make any difference which country it is, it's because there's too much rice and too much wheat already in the government's stored lockers and cellars, and they got to get rid of it, and they're paying Catholic Relief Services or World Vision or another nonprofit group a huge amount of money to be the person to give it away in Africa or in South America or in
Right.
Indonesia or whatever place that they're doing it. And all of these nonprofit groups, this is where they make the bulk of their funds, is off the government contracts to give away
Right.
free food that's been subsidized by
there's
tax.
a lot of green-
taxpayer
A lot of
dollars.
green involved.
Oh
That's
yeah.
right.
These are some of the things that I talk about in the books. I start with Blue Fire Jesus, and we go heavily into Little Prophet Girl as well. So
And And you were also a pastor for a while. Is that
my dad was a Baptist minister,
okay?
and
Southern Baptist.
he was what they call conservative Baptist, which is if you're going to live on the West Coast, it's like kind of being Southern Baptist, but Southern Baptist, like they had antiquated things the conservative Baptists
Don't
would
drink wine. And,
Well, they would smoke, and the conservative Baptists
really?
wouldn't. But they
Okay.
wouldn't allow girls and boys to go swimming together in the
Right.
1960s.
But
And the
cigarettes are
conservative
okay.
Baptists, would say, no, they can do that.
yeah,
you know,
cigarettes
so,
are fine though.
when it comes to denominations and certain religious groups, again, they have to have a codification to say, this is our building, you should come here and give money so that we can support our building and our people.
Right.
And to do that, we're going to believe this or believe that, and we're going to interpret it for social conventions. And whatever, if we're your kind of social convention, come to our church.
Right.
Jesus wasn't a Christian; he was Jewish.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, he came with a real simple message,
Right.
and there's no money in that message. He didn't
No.
make a lot of bucks. He didn't write any books either.
Right. Right.
He didn't travel very far out of his area.
Right.
So.
And he didn't say you can't drink wine if you're Baptist.
He made wine. It was his first miracle.
Right, it's the first
made
miracle.
tons
The
and
first
tons of
miracle.
wine,
The first
yeah.
miracle, and it was
To say
strong. It
leaders.
was a strong wine.
That's
too.
right, it
Because they
was.
were saying, "Wow, you brought out
He
the
said,
best
the
wine."
steward said it was a great wine.
He said, "You brought out the. You're funny because most people they bring out the good wine, and when everybody's hammered, you bring out the cheap stuff. Because you did the opposite. He's right.
He brought out, that's the great thing
they
about the
brought out-
miracle.
they
He wasn't
brought
just
out-
making wine, he made aged wine to
right
perfection.
because they brought out the cheaper wine first, and then
Yep.
the good stuff made from water later.
Exactly. Yeah.
And people say, oh, maybe they poured water in these clay jars and it soaked up. No, it would have been watery. It was
Yeah.
strong wine. Yeah,
No,
so
it was, yeah.
The Baptists won't admit that.
Well, one of the
They
things...
say it was grape juice, but
Yes, and I
Southern
became, I
Baptists.
followed in my
That's
dad's
true.
lead, and I became a youth pastor, and then I
Right.
had a little church in Wisconsin. And at that point in time, it's when I figured out that I probably shouldn't be a pastor. I'll tell you a cute
Why is
story.
that?
I had a couple come to me for marriage counseling,
right.
and they were older than me. You know, I'm about 29 years old in
Mm-hmm.
this church, and I've got a church of about 80 people. This
Mm.
couple comes to me for marriage counseling, and they tell me the worst possible things about each other. The most horrible things I can't repeat on TV.
Right.
And they said, "Okay, Pastor, what should we do to fix this?" And I said,
Get divorced.
"I think you should get a divorce. I don't know how you could possibly live together after what you've told me."
Boy, howdy.
And you know what they said? "You're a terrible pastor." And then they went out arm in arm. You know, they were now buddies for a while because I was
now
a
they're
bad
tight.
pastor.
So that brought them
thought,
together. So you did the best
maybe this
advice
pastor thing is
you
not
could have
what I
gave
should
them.
do.
Maybe,
That's
right. Put them right in. So they're together today.
Maybe that'll be
you
the
know.
new psychology.
Right.
Tell
That would
people
be
they
it.
should get a divorce.
I know.
Oh,
So how long have you been married right now?
I've been married to my beautiful wife since 1974.
19. Nice.
Yeah,
And,
and we've had our ups and downs and all arounds because of
you wanna
all the
give her-
careers I've had.
Give her a
so.
shout out. I think she's here in the live
She
studio
is. She's
audience.
out there, Beatrice, darling.
And I just say hey. And I just wanted to work that into the conversation because see these flowers right here? This is going to Beatrice right after the show. And we have some other
Fabulous.
parting gifts she'll never part with. So, you know,
That's right. That's what we
don't
love.
run away. Yeah,
we love
so
those party
stay.
gifts you don't part with.
Stay here. I got some stuff for the live studio audience in here tonight. You know, so, you know. And so 1974. Yeah.
So we've had our ups and downs, and we have been divorced and remarried.
For 40 years? Off and
No,
on for
no,
fo-
no,
off
not
and on
for 40 years.
I mean, off and on for 4 years we've been
We did
divorced
the
and
normal
remarried.
thing where you expect to live happily ever after.
Right.
When we didn't,
And then
and I started doing the spy thing and being a bad guy and
Right,
stuff
and
like
not-
that.
not
and
around
She decided,
yeah.
that I wasn't her kind of guy at that
Yeah,
point in time, which was true. I wasn't. I wasn't anybody's
but
kind
you're
of
a
guy.
changed man now.
But you know what? That's the great thing about life and God and Jesus and everybody that has any kind of hope. You can change.
Right.
If you're not dead, I want you to know you can change.
It's never too late.
It's
never
too late. That's right. And you can, doesn't matter, making difference how old you are, redemption is the key part of the human story that makes it all worthwhile.
You know, the guy from KFC, you know, Colonel Sanders, right?
Right.
He didn't even go to work. He didn't even go into business till he was 65. Most people would be retiring at 65. So it's never too late to make a change and start something. He said, maybe I'll open a chicken restaurant. He was 65 years old, right? And so, of course, he sold the franchise and he became the spokesman and all that, and, you know. But he sold it in Kentucky to the guys that had the Derby.
It's quite.
and
I know it's quite
the
a
horse,
story though.
The horse mafia guys.
Yeah, it's quite a
You know,
story.
so, yeah. But yeah, I mean, to wait that late to decide, I think I should do this in life, right? You know, most people would be retiring. He just started his career, right? You know, so
My
never
mom
too
went
late
back to
change.
school to get her bachelor's degree in her 60s. And then she decided to get her master's degree. And then she went on to teach high school. And this is her last year of teaching high school, but she's 81 years old and teaches high school full time
Nice.
this year. So there's an inspiration for you.
So we got about probably 10 minutes left. So we want to touch on a couple more issues.
There's something that I wanted to, in the book I have in my author's notes, I have things that are important for people to know that it's about the book. The families are real. The 80 families that I talk about
Right.
are real. Even though it's a
They-
work of fiction.
They exist. It's a fictional book,
Yes.
but it's
So I
based
can't
on a
name
true
the actual-
story.
I can't name the actual
family
families.
members
That's right.
by name
Right.
for obvious
There's a
reasons.
place in here called the Integratron. It's down in Southern California in the desert, and it was a UFO cult center back in the 50s. And a guy who said that he got taken up in a spaceship by the Venusians, brought down, and was given this blueprint to build this domed building without any metal in it. He built this thing, or at least he half built it. I mean, he built the whole building, but he didn't put all the things in it that
That was specified.
his outer space brothers told him to do.
Right.
But it's been taken over by a couple of sisters that have been really, really great at refurbishing the place, and they do something called sound baths. And I was talking to Ronnie about this, about recording there, because a lot of new bands record there now.
Right.
Because the acoustics are
Nice. Yeah.
not like
Perfect.
anything else in the world.
This is
They're not even
perfect,
like
right?
other domes.
Right.
They're not just perfect. It's almost spooky that the way these acoustics go and the inspiration the musicians get there.
Nice.
Anyway, that's in here too, the Integratron.
right.
And I put in here, the Integratron is more than real. Go for a sound bath. It's in Landers, California by Joshua Tree for all you LA people watching.
Close to where you were from. Yeah.
Yep. Ask for Joanna Drayton and tell them DG sent you. They might even let you in for a second one.
Ask for who? What's her name?
Joanna Drayton.
Joanna Drayton.
They both do sound baths. They do different ones, yeah. There's something called solfeggio tones, Sofflegio tones. And these tones are basic tones that kind of go right through you, musical tones. I was talking to Ronnie about this.
But you can hear them.
And you can hear them when they're played or when they're done. They're kind of harmonic tones. But these Tibetan crystal bowls have a way of being able to hit them pretty well if you can play them correctly, and they do that.
Right.
And the music goes through you, and it kind of changes and rearranges almost molecular structure.
Right.
But because I'm not looking at the blood live while the tones are going. If I was, I could tell you how it changes the
Exactly.
the animation of the white blood cells or the macrophages and,
Right.
or bacteria that I see in the blood. But believe me, it changes you. When you're there, it changes you. Inside here is the Furnace Creek Inn at Death Valley National Park. And if you haven't been there, it is a fabulous place to go. It's kind of a 4-star, 5-star place, so it costs a little bit. But it's one of the places that, like Bohemian Grove and where the Bilderbergs meet occasionally, it's a place families like to meet,
And it's in Death Valley
It's
National
in Death
Park.
Valley. And it's in a...
What's the name of it again?
It's called the Furnace Creek Inn.
The Furnace Creek Inn.
And it's owned by the Anschutz Company. Philip Anschutz is a self-made billionaire reclusive. He is, according to my research, he's not in the families. He's one of the billionaires that's not. But I can't tell whether he's one of the family good guys that's trying to counter him, or whether he wants to get into the families.
Yeah.
I haven't figured that out.
So he can save his life in the end.
Pantheon Security is not real, it's in the books, but the myriad of Blackwater breakup companies. Now, Blackwater was a security company that took huge amounts of government contracts. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars government contracts to provide private security for the oil fields in Iraq. And for all of those of you, there's no doubt about it now. Everybody knows the reason we went to Iraq instead of some other place. It's because they had oil.
Because they bombed us on 9/11.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's because they had oil. We could have gone to a lot of other places like North Korea, which has nothing we want,
Right.
and set them straight, but we didn't.
No.
It's because who had oil?
Yeah, because they were communists.
Right.
No, just kidding.
These breakup groups, though, that work now, the
Right.
Blackwater breakup groups, they rent recently retired soldiers to guard the international family corporate interests. You have U.S. trained guys that guard now private corporate interests that are better trained than our guys that are in the military. Now, our guys in the military go, no, they're not, no, they're not.
Right.
But these guys are veterans already of war. They're not new guys that haven't seen combat yet.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And I put in here, their guys have the deadest eyes I've ever seen. Whenever I've been in a number two's office, that ends up being the intelligence. It's going to be the office in any embassy or consulate that the intelligence officer, whoever's the section chief, is going to work.
Right.
They've got the deadest eyes of anybody I've ever seen, with the exception of several freaks in the Russian merchant marine, of whom I've had the misfortune of getting drunk with one too many times. Sorry, Mom, I did that, yes. In the book, too, is something called God machines. People go, God machines? What the heck is that? Several countries and private corporations have them and are expanding their machine-human interface. This is something which makes you much more than just human.
Right.
You just think of all the stuff that you read in William Gibson novels, with Keanu Reeves movies, where he can do all these wonderful things, where he can bend backwards and the bullets go over him, stuff like this. Well, that's the cartoon version of the attributes that they can give you. And the reason that they do is because there's something called neobrium chips. They're neobrium. It's NB. It's an element now.
It's in the chart.
Yeah. And
As listed as
the
NB.
neobrium chips, they're coated polyhedral chips, and they're acted by RF, radio frequencies. And what they can do inside a mammalian brain is absolutely incredible.
Right.
So you have these different laboratories. The first, which was in the underground in Haifa. People don't realize that one of the reasons that the Israelis are still a state and will always be a state is because they have some of the most advanced tech ever in something called the Haifa Underground.
We got about 4 minutes left. Doesn't time fly when
It does.
when it's live?
I tell you.
Because it seems like we were sitting here for like 7 minutes, right? And show's almost over. So
What do you need to do?
I need you to give me any shout outs and tell me anything you want to tell me real quick for a couple minutes, and anything. Keep going. I mean, we got 4 minutes left, but I just wanted to say, hey, go ahead and keep telling me about the NB, because now that's in the element chart now.
It is, but these are the things that everybody wonders, what do they do? How come they put so much money in particle accelerators, like at CERN
Right.
and at Fermi? And the Japanese are putting in a brand new one. They're grabbing all the big brains in the world for the Japanese version. It's because you get stuff like neobium out of it, and you get this is the stuff. This is the future.
Yeah.
Enhanced humans are the future.
After product. Okay.
And the first enhanced humans are going to be dumb soldiers that they get to do stuff for them.
Right.
But what I want to say is that for the average person out there, get educated, find out. You don't want to just be a drone in somebody's societal army.
Right.
Right now, the powers that be have already decided there's too many humans on the earth.
They need to eliminate.
And there's not too many
a lot of
humans
them.
for the earth, but for the way that we're living, for the kind of capitalistic societies
Right.
we're living in, consumer societies, there's too many people for
Right.
for our resources.
It's hard to manage.
And so, believe me, the elite aren't going to destroy themselves. But what they'll do is they'll cull the herd. You
Right.
don't want to be part of the herd.
Right.
The stupid part.
Right. Because they're just going to keep their families going.
Of course.
And they're going to drop some kind of virus or something.
Remember, somebody always believes they need to run the world.
Right.
And it's usually not you.
Well, we've got about 2 minutes left, so always a pleasure to have you, to work with you. Glad you made it to the birthday party and
Thanks.
everything. These flowers are for you guys as
Fantastic.
well. At one of my sponsors, and I got a couple of shout outs here. I got run some credits up in here, and just wanted to say, so celebrity guests stay at the television show, stay at the Magnolia House. That's where we were at the other night, right?
Right.
And the Seymour House in the beautiful Napa Valley. Transportation provided by Rolls-Royce, Cadillac, Lincoln, and Mercedes-Benz. And we'd like to thank our guests right here, DG Spillman. Thanks for coming on the show. We want to thank Sal, the flower guy, brings these flowers in every week.
Thank
and I'm
you,
sure
Sal.
your wife will appreciate that. And Doc's Trophy Shops brings in these music
All
awards
right,
for our
fantastic.
musical live performing artists. This one was Artist of the Month, Live Entertainer Artist of the Month. And we want to thank Hair in Motion, bleaching out my hair real good, right? Saved me about $115.
There you go.
Another sponsor, Dr. Moore, adjust my back, right? Keep me standing up straight, So, and we also want to thank Susie Sensen for providing the beautiful Magnolia House right here in beautiful Napa Valley.
Thank you,
And
Susie.
Downtown Joe's providing the hot wings and the free sodas when we had Ronnie Hudson and Harvey Scales down there. So thanks to Downtown Joe's, and so God bless you and yours, and it's always a pleasure to work with you, David. And also we have a smartphone for you on the
Wow,
show
thanks
tonight,
so much.
and we also got, this is a parting gift you'll never part with right here. You get this actually autographed headshot
How do you
of
like
yours
that?
truly right here on
Back
the
in the
show,
day.
and then your paychecks in the mail. No, I'm just kidding. So watch YouTube, Television 707, right here online. And want to thank our live studio audience right here in the Napa Valley, our live TV studio audience, and our television audience, our online audience. So God bless you and yours. Till next time, America. And pretty much we're out of here.
All right.
Is there